In the previous videos, we have seen how estimates, numbers close to the actual number, make our life very easy when we have to discuss and share the numbers. They serve the purpose. We don't need to know the exact number many times. So let's say in this case, Pramod's weight is 87 kgs and he needs to tell his weight to people. He needs an estimate. Somebody asks, Pramod, how much do you weigh? Around how much do you weigh? So Pramod need not say 84, 87, 88 and a half. He can give a rough estimate. So let's say in this example, you might say, hey, 87 is close to 100. But I think 100 is little far away, right? Especially when 100 would be, Pramod would look very different. If he were 100, he would look something like that. I think that's a little bit more, right? So we would want something that's fairly close. So let's say our weight is 87 to reach an estimate. Let's see in this in terms of our place value. So if this was 87 and we know we cannot round off to the nearest 100, which is 100. So let's say the simple way in which, as I have mentioned before, I would imagine this. So speaking just about the tens, let's focus on the tens. Rounding off means we wanna ignore the ones if we talk about the tens. Anything beyond the tens is not important. The more zeros a number has, it's easier to discuss, to communicate, to remember. Therefore, let's only focus on the tens. So I would say if 87 is the number, the nearest 10 to 87 would be 80, as well as another nearest 10, or which is the nearest we'll see. But another near 10 would be the next 10 in this case would be, of course, under the tens, I'm gonna put the 9. So can I say if 80 and 90, we have to jump between 8 tens and 9 tens? I want to see this naturally would be 8 tens and 5 ones because 10 ones is a 10. Therefore, 5 is in the center. So if this were 85, I would just think of this as 86, 87, 88, 89, and 90. So I know that around 87 would be here. Naturally, this is closer to 90. Therefore, I would say, so a good estimate of Pramod's weight would be around 90 kgs. So Pramod can say, hey, I weigh around 90 kgs. You see, it's easier to understand, remember 90 than to remember 87, right? And it's okay. 90 is very close to 87. Now the cell phone costed 8,420 rupees. Now what is a good estimate of the cost? See, the reason why we need an estimate is because we don't want the exact number. The only purpose is to get a rough idea, a close idea, an approximate idea of the actual cost. So we want to keep the number as clear as possible with as many zeros as we can. Therefore, we only think about the number in some number of tens or hundreds or thousands, depending on what estimate we read, how close we need to be. So here in this case, the cell phone costed 8,420. Now that's any which ways a big number. Can we make it a little more easier, little more friendly, little more simple to remember? So let's say if here we would think, let's say this is 8,400s, 2 tens and 0 ones. Now, how about if we think like we did, let's say if we think of this as 9,000 or we just think of this as 8,000. Okay, now I think 8,000 would be very less an estimate of the cost of the cell phone. It's almost half a thousand lesser. And 9,000s would actually be slightly on the higher side. You don't want to tell your friends that you bought a phone of 9,000. It is just 8,420. So whether it's 8,000 or 9,000, both the thousands is actually on the higher and the lower side. It needs to be a little more closer. So then we start thinking about the hundreds. So let's now focus on the hundreds. All right. So I've highlighted my 100 here. Now let's think about the 100 prior and the 100 after this number. So let's say first of all, let's make the number easier. It's 8,400s. Keeping the thousands the same, let's think about the next 100. So if this is 8,400, the next 100 is 8,500. You can also think of this as 84 hundreds and 85 hundreds. That's how you can also think, because uh, 10 hundreds is 1,000. So 80 hundreds is 8,000, right? So therefore, let's keep it simple, keeping the thousands the same. Let's think about the hundreds. Now you know our simple technique here. So think of it like climbing the mountain. This is in the middle. This is 8,400. And we're talking about the jumps of hundreds. Therefore, halfway would be a 50 or 5 tens. Therefore, now this is 8,400 and this is 8,500. Therefore, this is 8,420 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Almost equal distances. Hold on. So I would say this is around 8420. So our number actually is closer to 8,400. If it's anywhere, you see, if the number is 8450, then obviously we would think about going to the next higher one. Now, this is generally agreed by all of us. So, if you're anytime stuck in the center of your jumps of hundreds, then take it to 8,500. All right. So, like this time we are here, right here. So, this is naturally closer to 8,400. Therefore, I would say our better estimate is 8,400 rupees because we have focused on the hundreds here. So you can tell your friends my phone was around 8,400. It's actually easier to remember than 8,420.